Hi, welcome to this episode of The Daily. My name is Brendan Malone. Well, last weekend, and because we're in the school holidays, I got out a DVD for my kids and I to watch together the new Disney movie Zootopia, which some critics have been raving about and claiming is the best Disney movie in 20 years. Oh my gosh, no it's not. It's actually a really terrible movie. In fact, in today's episode, I'm now going to cut away to my daughter because I interviewed my daughter earlier on and I asked her what she thought about Zootopia.
I didn't like Zootopia because I thought it was kind of confusing with all the different stories happening at once. And it was a bit too scary for younger people, and I think everyone should be able to view it and like it. My favourite part of the film was probably the sloths. They were the best part of the movie. They were so funny and I just really liked them. I would give this movie 2 stars out of 5. Probably. I think this movie would be better if there was less scary bits, and they kind of should have made the movie more understandable.
So there you have it. That's what my eldest daughter thinks, and the younger kids pretty much echoed exactly the same sentiments. In fact, the younger ones didn't even last till the end of the movie. One of them got too scared and walked away. The other 2 got bored and just got up and left and started doing something else. So clearly this is not really a big hit as far as children are concerned, because our kids are average kids. They love these kind of films normally. They didn't really appreciate this. They didn't even last till the end of the film. So that's not a particularly good sign. And I think the reason this happened was because the creators of this film didn't really know what they were creating, or they seem to be confused about what they're creating. This is supposed to be an animated kids movie, but really it's more of an adult film. It contains quite dark tone in places and also quite dark subject matter that it's addressing. And the way that it does it as well, as I said, is quite dark. It's got adult references to the Godfather movie and to Breaking Bad. Now, obviously, these are not for kids. These are references that are in there for adults. And really that, I think, is the hallmark of this film. Also, the way the plot is constructed, it doesn't flow in a very clear way that a child would normally be able to understand and get their head around exactly what's going on and what the motivations of different characters are. My eldest daughter, who you just heard from, she has the reading age of a 14-year-old. She's currently reading Nancy Drew, for example. So she understands complex mystery plots that are sort of suitable for that age. And yet she got to the end of this film and she, like she said, she couldn't figure out why the bad guy was motivated to do what they'd done in this film. It just didn't make a lot of sense. The other thing too is that this movie is really ideologically loaded. It is heavy with ideology. And it's not, it's ideology that belongs in the adult world. Now, kids' movies, I think, should teach basic virtue. You know, things like care and compassion and love for other people. This movie, though, is loaded with adult ideology and adult discourses about issues around gender disparity and issues around race relations. It's not really, and I think that's why the film got bogged down, because these are concepts that children are not ready for, and it just makes the film a very confusing experience for them when they are bombarded with this kind of stuff. And man, are they bombarded with it. In places it gets absolutely stupid. So it just really bogged down the film. The other thing I think about this movie that was problematic is the way they've set the premise up is completely flawed. They're trying to tackle the issue of prejudice, but what they do is they create an analogy using animals. And in this future imagined animal world, all the animals have evolved, and so there are no longer predators and there are no longer prey. They're all equal. They all just get along. So none of the predatory animals act like predators and killers around the more vulnerable animals. But what happens is one of the bad guys starts injecting predators with things so that they actually become predatory again, and this creates this massive fear, and the whole thing is to try and destabilize society. And the message they try and put across is, hey, look, these fears that these animals have are completely irrational and we should all just get along. Well, no, that doesn't actually make a lot of sense, because if predatory animals start acting in a predatory way, then it's actually quite natural to be afraid of that and to probably want to protect yourself or be concerned when you are around predators. Why? Because this movie picked on a behaviour trait to use as the sort of mark where they were going to delineate between prejudice and non-prejudice. And that's a big problem, because behaviour traits, yeah, we should be prejudiced against certain behaviour traits. So if people are violent, we should treat them differently than people who are peaceful or who are not violent, right? You should actually have a certain prejudice because you want to limit that sort of harm and you want to make yourself safe, so you do have to act differently around people who are violent. And that's how they've set this whole film up. What they should have done really was set up prejudice along the lines of, say, the colour of your fur, or whether you had fur or didn't have fur in the animal kingdom. And that would have been a more appropriate metaphor, and it would have made a lot more sense because, yeah, you shouldn't judge people by the colour of their skin. That is not a reason to be prejudiced against someone. You shouldn't make distinctions and treat them differently just because of the colour of their skin. Unfortunately, though, the way they've set this whole premise up is just confused and only adds to the contradictions here. At the end of the day, I think if you want to see a far better movie that's a mystery caper that involves animals and has kind of got some similar themes in it and is really sort of challenging certain stereotypes, then I think you can't go past the movie Hoodwinked. Our kids absolutely loved it. The plot made sense. It throws a few stereotypes on its head, and it's a far more enjoyable animated film that really involves all of these same sort of elements. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily.